Chant It Down Radio's coming to you live from the Hawaiian Islands, coming from the perspective of complete freedom, coming from wisdom outside the system and then some. This is the mouthpiece of the natural earth forgotten. At this point in time, humanity's been kept from the truth, so Chant It Down Radio offers the coordinates to a path out.
You're searching for something whole, cause what you seek real life. You're watching this world unfold, the truth beneath the lies, rekindling what's been stole, the need to free one's mind, uncover the truth exposed, so people see the light. Let's chant it down so we can know. It's simple, we just break it down a little bit so we can process all. Make the switch and elevate yourself to conscious mode, and it's beneficial we can get this concept rolling. Get the future generations wanna start the whole thing with the message demonstrated. We can start a post, taking in, assimilating, getting lots of numbers, waking up the population, try to stop hypnosis.
Welcome to Chant It Down Radio. ChantItDownRadio.com is the website. Today's episode is 175. My guest today is Bob Tuskin, and there are two ways people see this information we cover here: understanding how the world really works and realize our position under these dark elites that control us and keep talking about it and keep emphasizing it and on it goes, or taking this information and no longer becoming a victim and trying to become better humans ourselves by being empowered and moving forward with solutions. That's why I brought on Bob Tuskin, who chants it down. Bob Tuskin, I consider you to be a veteran truth speaker. You've been on countless radio shows and did your own show, The Bob Tuskin Show, for many years, going over this truther perspective and looking for solutions. You've been a part of the Free Your Mind conference and other gatherings of sorts. You've been at the center of what I called, in my own words, the underground truth movement. Just lots of intelligent people and researchers that have been talking about this situation on Earth for many years. And now we're in 2021. 9/11 was 20 years ago now. Everything people have been warning and talking about is coming to fruition. So here we are. Welcome back to Chant It Down Radio, brother.
Can you believe it's been 20 years? And now with COVID-9/11 going down, we're at this weird place where we've been telling everyone about it, and it's happening. We're in the midst of it. And it's surreal on one hand, but on the other hand, it's of no surprise to anybody that's been paying just the smallest amount of attention to where we've been heading for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, one side of me is surprised that it's actually here, and then the other side of me is like, oh yeah, I've had a lot of time to prep for this and think about it, but you know, I feel like I'm dreaming and I need to pinch myself, but it's here, and it's everything we've been talking about. I mean, like, we're running out of conspiracies to talk about because they're all here.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And it is one of those moments where you're like, is this really happening? Like you said, I pinch myself sometimes. And I'm also somewhat thankful that I did have enough foresight to start to prep myself in many ways, mentally, physically, and so on and so forth, to seek abundance in our own lives, to find happiness and community. And we're still quite vulnerable. Many of us are nowhere near where we want to be. And as things continue to go downhill and dwindle out of control, it gets us more and more, I guess, intimidated that we're not as prepared as we are.
Right.
You know, we are on this treadmill, seemingly, where we're trying to juggle a cornucopia of things. On one hand, we know how important it is to find abundance, you know, to find freedom and sovereignty in our own lives, independent of whatever the powers that shouldn't be have dictated to us. So we're not in their paradigm. We've made that conscious choice not to be. And we choose on a regular basis to not be a victim of their system, to not play ball. And as a result, we can choose our own path. We can do what we want to do. And we can find that abundance and, you know, the life balance for us and our family and our children's children. On the other hand, we still have to play the game, a lot of us. I'm chasing Federal Reserve notes, dude. It's one of the main reasons why I haven't done my show. Though it's not a great excuse, but it's one of the reasons. You're chasing Fed notes. We're all trying to chase these Fed notes. Most of us are not at that point where we can truly retire from the system, if you will. And it's a juggling thing. We're still trying to have relationships with families, with family and friends who are who are still stuck in the paradigm. And we're constantly conflicted, pulled in and out of the path that we know is the right one, and having to still live in the world of this prison planet, right? So it's a very difficult balancing act. I don't have the answers on how to balance that. I really don't. Part of me was hoping that I do enough business in the system we have to make enough Federal Reserve notes so that it was a much easier setup. But, I've done what I can. I'm on 5 acres now. I have chickens, goats, ducks, bunnies, fruit trees, gardens, water from the well. We have a great aquifer here where I live. And I've done what I can with limited resources. And I have somewhat of a fallback, which I'm thankful for. But I really, really struggle that I can't bring more people with me. And at the end of the day, what makes us any different than the satanic scumbags that are going to go underground when the shit hits the fan? If we're living in a bubble in our own sovereign communities and everybody else is suffering around us, we're being selfish, and that troubles me because that's what they're doing. They're setting it up so that, everything's burning on the surface. They go underground and they're protected and insulated. Well, in a way, we're not doing something that's very different from that in trying to protect ourselves. Now, do I fault us for doing this? No. Am I saying it's selfish and wrong? No. Sometimes self-preservation is necessary. I mean, look at this example. If you see somebody drowning, you don't jump in and start drowning with them. You got to get yourself on higher land and have, your feet on the ground to be able to save them, right?
Right.
So it's important for us to have that stability. But then I also am troubled by the fact that, we can't bring more people with us. And I guess good riddance to them, but I don't think we should dehumanize the folks that are victims of the system. I don't think we should call them sheeple. I feel bad for these people. I love them. I really do. I love them. I care for them. I empathize and sympathize with them and hate the fact that they're shooting their arms up with this poison. I hate the fact that they're completely dependent on a supply chain that's controlled. I hate the fact that they're completely vulnerable, and I really wish that wasn't the case.
Due to mass censorship, if you want to listen to this entire podcast, go to any podcast player out there and visit the website chantitdownradio.com, which has many episodes and archives to sift through.